Can you define fascism and Nazism, both terms you use a lot in this book?
Yes. Fascism and Nazism are not the same. Hitler very rarely, if ever, called himself a fascist. If you read Mein Kampf, the term fascist almost never appears. Mussolini, who was the quintessential fascist, never identified with Hitler's National Socialism. Now, the main difference between fascism and socialism, fascism is the doctrine of the centralized state. A powerful centralized state running the economy and running your life, that's fascism. Nazism is fascism plus anti-Semitism. So fascism imbued with a deep vein of racism and anti-Semitism, that's the distinguishing feature of Nazi Germany. And it's important to realize that the Ku Klux Klan was, and I'm now quoting the progressive historian Eric Foner from Columbia University, the Ku Klux Klan was, quote, for 30 years the domestic terrorist arm of the Democratic Party. It was a delegate to the Democratic National Convention who founded the Klan. The Republicans shut down the Klan. President Woodrow Wilson revived the Klan. And the Klan was an extension of Democratic Party violence and terrorism. So to now pick on a handful of ragtag guys and basically go, hey, they endorse Trump because they don't have a job and he wants to make America great again. No, the Klan has an actual history, and the history is closely connected with the history of the Democratic Party. I guess I'll leave it at that. I don't use Nazism and fascism merely as sort of rhetorical javelins. Usually most people who use the term have either no idea what it means or they're referring to some vague definition that isn't even really right. So, for example, it's commonly said that Trump is a fascist because he's a nationalist. He's an ultra-nationalist, and that makes him a fascist. Now, I know that Gandhi was a nationalist. Mandela was a nationalist. All the anti-colonial leaders were nationalists. Churchill was a nationalist. The American founders were nationalists. Now, obviously, these people weren't fascists. So nationalism does not equal fascism. It's just a wrong definition. So how did we get a wrong definition? We got a wrong definition because after World War II, when fascism and Nazism were stained with the odor of Holocaust, the progressives who were coming to power in the academy and the media, they knew what fascism was. But they said, look, fascism has always been on the left. We need to move it into the right-wing column. So I'm attacking an historical revisionism that redefined fascism to move it from the left-wing column. Remember, Mussolini was a Marxist. He was the leading socialist in Italy. Hitler's party, the National Socialist Party. So Hitler emphasized the socialism and National Socialism, but today the left has taken it out because it's a little bit of a whitewashing operation. The left has a long secret history of complicity with fascism and Nazism. I'll give us a single example. FDR, progressive saint, icon, hero, sent members of his brain trust to Rome in the 30s to study Italian fascism. Why? He saw it as more progressive than the New Deal. He wanted to bring those ideas here. And Mussolini, for his part, was a huge fan of FDR. Mussolini reviews FDR's book in an Italian magazine. He goes, this guy's a fascist. It's fantastic. He's one of us. So here's my point. This is real history. It's indisputable. It's in the record. But it's not in the textbooks because the textbooks are written by progressives. A number of Hitler's most genocidal schemes he lifted directly from America and from the American Democrats. And I'll give a single example of this. We don't have to go back to Jacksonian democracy in the 19th century. The senior Nazis who got together in a room to write the Nuremberg laws. The Nuremberg laws were laws that basically made Jews into second-class citizens, forbade intermarriage between Jews and Germans, later led to confiscation of Jewish property, state-sponsored discrimination. So the Nazis said to themselves, we want to create the world's first racial state. And then one of the senior Nazis, and we have the transcripts of the meeting, he goes, we don't have to create the world's first racial state. The Democrats in the United States have already done that in the South. They have Jim Crow. And so all we need to do is basically take the Jim Crow laws, the segregation laws, the anti-miscegenation laws, which forbid intermarriage between blacks and whites. All we have to do is cross out the word black and write in the word Jew, and we're ready to roll. And so the point I'm trying to make is this is not a case of me drawing an analogy or a parallel between the Democrats and the Nazis. The Nazis actually used the Democratic blueprint in order to put in schemes for Jewish discrimination that later led to the final solution. But the Nazis had a term called Gleichschaltung. Gleichschaltung means coordination. And what the Nazis tried to do is bring all the cultural institutions of society, their universities, the media, their filmmaking industry, into harmony with the priorities of Nazi ideology. I think we have something called Gleichschaltung. It's political correctness, and it's enforced with ruthless intensity. I mean, there's a group in Hollywood called the Friends of Abe. These are conservatives. There are 2,000 of them, but they meet in secret. People actually wear disguises to the meetings. Why? Because if their views were known, they would never work again in that town. So in a way, I'm not so scared of the Antifa thugs at Berkeley on the street. I'm much more scared of the studio bosses and their power. The same is true with the media. I think the good news is because of technology today and social media, there are ways to get information out that bypass the media. If the ordinary citizen feels like I don't have much power, I only have 30 friends on Facebook, well, but each of them have 30 friends on Facebook. So you're a mini publisher. You can actually get information out. So I think that there are countervailing forces today, maybe small, but that can get bigger over time.